Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the German tier 5 medium tank, the Panzer IV-H. I like this little tank a lot. I always liked it when I first started playing the game and I still love it. It's always refreshing to go back and play tanks like these, like the Panzer IV-H and like say the M4 Derp for instance. It just makes a difference to playing stuff like tier 10s and that, which, you know, it can be a little bit stale at times. Because there's not as much variety up there as there is, say, like tier 8 down. And I love derp guns. And obviously, the higher tier you get, the less likely you are to come across derp guns. I absolutely love them. Like this Panzer IV-H with this derp gun. This derp gun is amazing. I think this one isn't quite as good as the M4 Sherman's derp, but it's still a lot of fun. Now, the Panzer IV-H, it is a little bit awkward with its gun depression because it gets 10 degrees over the front and I think only 6 or 8, one of the two, over the side because of the side skirts, which can be a bit of a pain sometimes, to be honest. And that's generally because if you randomly turn your tank slightly too much to the left or right, it kind of just jerks your gun up, and sometimes you don't expect it, which means you throw off your shot. But here we go. We've spotted the Death Toaster. Well, that is a tank that is not well armoured at all, so we want it. And a couple ammo. Sorry, Death Toaster. Bye, lad. And that's why I love derp guns, because you just punish things and just laugh as you run away cackling and one-shot someone. That's why I like the T-49 when you block people for, like, you know, like Super Conquerors for 1,000. It's great. So, right, we've loaded heat. The heat only has 101 pen, right? Which means the heat generally isn't that great. But you've got to know what the targets are you're loading the heat for. So that VK3001H, I knew I could easily pen in its lower plate because it's flat and terrible. And I could pen it twice and two-shot it near enough. Now, I have no idea. I mean, I know the Rampanzer only has around about 50mm of armour on the turret, which means we actually can pen it with a HE. But to actually pen it with the HE is another story. It's quite lucky to have penned that guy. But when we drove around the corner, we also took two big hits, and that was one from that BDR and one from the Rampanzer himself. And the BDR obviously slaps hard. You don't want to be taking hits from a BDR because it's got 240 alpha, which is kind of a rarity. But here we go. We're thinking we've penned that turret once. Will we pen it again? No. I mean, the Rampanzer's got the same turret as us. It is spaced armour wrapped around it. We're probably more likely to pen it if it was like it is on the, I think it's the 3000, whatever the tier 4 is before this. Basically doesn't have the spaced armour. Now we loaded the heat round again because we knew we could pen the BDR in the back or side of the turret and he wasn't facing us, so it was a guaranteed pen. When you're using these derp guns and you are pushing for marks, like I did in this, I have 3 marks, so there is another video of the Panzer IV-H coming up, which means you're getting more derp-tastic memes, which... who can complain at derp-tastic memes? You can't complain at derp-tastic memes. Everybody loves derp guns. Well, okay, everybody loves derp guns that's not getting hit by derp guns. Right? Yeah, I think that's probably the way it is. So, you know, this was a fun tank. So going for marks on this, and I mean, it's tier 5, it's not the hardest marks in the world to get. And you can have a boatload of fun doing it with derp guns like this. You've got to know what you can pen. So if you're loading HE or heat, there's tanks that you see, like a Death Toaster, which you look at and you go, that's an immediate pen, if you know what I mean. You look at it and you go, yeah, I can pen that with HE. But then you look at something like a VK3001H and I know that I can pen that in the low plate with heat, but I'm not going to pen it with HE. So I want to maximise the damage I can do, and plus the fact that this tank is also paper thin. It's got a poopy engine, which means that you get penned in the front, your engine just dies, and that can be a factor. So as well as the fact that you've obviously got no hit points, so you want to use your engagements wisely. Now here, if you've seen the mini-map, we have wrapped around their cap and we are killing them. Now, did you see how many had crossed towards our base? At this point I was thinking, oh no, there's 2 in there. And actually I think the light tank's over there as well. Oh god, we've got to get in the cap. We've got to go. Get in the cap. I was not aware enough. I realised this too late. Now, if the other heavy tank that's literally just put his controller down and stopped had actually gone with the other two heavy tanks to cap, we might have been okay. But unfortunately, even though we've got 3 in the cap, we were all too late to get there. And there's no way we're stopping that cap. No hope at all. So, just because of poor awareness, really, we took way too long in trying to just derp shots at that artillery, the bishop, which just meant that they got in the cap and capped it out. So, even though it's 1 second left on the cap for us, we lost. If this was before 5.0, we'd have probably drawn that game because we got on the cap just in time to draw it, but unfortunately not. So we finished that game with 912 base XP because it was a loss, 3 kills, but 2.2k damage. We hurt some people. Oh my god, we killed the gunner and the driver of that bishop. Okay. Commander, well, I mean, we one-shot like, oh, the Rampanzer, we killed his gunner and his loader with the pen. This is the other satisfying things about derp guns, right, is the fact that when you pen people, you sit there going, I wonder what I broke in that tank that I just fired at. It can be so funny. I love derp guns so much, man. And that's why I love tanks like the T-49 and the Tusk, because they're fast, they're boatloads of fun, you can really dish out hurting them, and you're not really worrying about too much, you know, you can just flow shots in and throw them in for like, 200, 300 without penning. But they do have drawbacks in the fact that they're incredibly inaccurate. They do take a fair... I mean, the ones like the T-49 and Tusk take a fair whack of skill to use sort of semi-decently and to be effective. And that's because that's tier 10 play, but like derp guns like this, you can just sort of load up, drive out, derp some people, have some fun. And, it's always fun to do that. So, we're on the second game, and this is on a map that I've not seen for a very long time, actually, Pacific Island. So, we've come to where the cap is, which is actually, this is probably the flank I'd recommend going to all the time, if I'm totally honest. Because this flank is generally a really good flank to go down. You can get shots, it's another one where you can get shots across loads of places. You can also get back to different areas really quickly. It's the most easily traversable. The other flank is kind of a boggy water mess. So if you go down there and you need to turn around, it's not as easy to get back because you do get slowed down a lot, basically. But here we are in the middle of this cap circle area, and we're throwing heat out now because, again, the KV... What? That penned? Okay, sure. Take it. Yeah, so, anyway, the KV-1 is another tank we know we can pen with heat. I think we loaded it for the M4, but we know we can pen a KV-1 with heat anyway. If you hit the flat plate just above the angle on the upper deck, or the upper bit, you can pen it with the 101 pen of heat, which means you can really put the hurt on those heavy tanks. You can do it to KV-1Ss as well, and you especially want to do it to KV-1Ss, because if they're throwing their weight about with that big 122mm derp gun it gets, which is another satisfying tank to play at these tiers, it's just beautiful. And you really need to get rid of that derp gun because it can hurt you so much. Like, it can just laugh at you with HE. It can kill you quite easily. So we have been throwing the heat around quite nicely in this game as well. So we've actually managed to get like some decent pens off. And just in like 6 shots of damage, we've done 1500 damage. We shut down quite a few people. With like the pen on the M4A2E4, the Ripper, that was quite a dubious pen. Because, for saying it's an M4 Sherman, right, that actually has decent armour. So I was quite fortunate to do that. But we've still got 2 heats loaded in. We can actually pen the turret cheeks of the Churchill 3 and the side of it. But unfortunately, it ricocheted off the side of his turret. But we do manage to finish him off. And we know we're going to get the reload on this M4, and we shut him down. And just like that, we end the game with 2.4k damage, 7 kills even, sorry, and 272 assisted. So we had a right blast running around like that, derping people. We got an ace tanker, Devastator, Top Gun. I just love these little derp guns, man. I always have. I mean, these are the reason I started really enjoying the game and playing it a lot back in the day, was being able to run around with the M4 derp gun and just memeing about in it. And then obviously I found the Panzer IV-H with its Derp, the Sherman 3 with it, the KV-1S, the KV-1, you know, the KV-2 obviously is a meme lord in itself, and all those sorts of Derp guns are why I started to love this game, and it's always nice to go back and play them. So, as always everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.